The paper in Maya's hand trembled like a frightened bird. The consultation room inside Oakwood Clinic, Lekki, smelled faintly of antiseptic and rain. Outside, Lagos traffic hummed its usual indifference. Impatient horns, shouts, and the restless rhythm of the city. Inside, a nurse with patient eyes spoke softly as though lowering her voice could change the truth. "Your rapid test is reactive," she said gently. "We'll confirm with a second test today." "Reactive," Maya repeated, rolling the strange word on her tongue as if it might break apart if she didn't handle it carefully. "It means you likely have HIV," the nurse continued, steady and calm. "We'll do the confirmatory test now, and if it's positive, we start treatment immediately. Early treatment works. You are not alone." But Maya barely heard the rest. The nurse's words dissolved into static. Her thoughts clung to one jagged, unspoken word: AIDS. She'd heard it in whispered conversations back home, seen it in the red ribbon pamphlets at church, in radio ads that spoke like accusations. She stared at the floor, knees trembling beneath her faded lilac NYSC camp t-shirt. "I'm 23, she thought, gripping the edge of her chair. "I've barely started. How can something finish me before I begin?" 3 months earlier she had stepped off a dusty bus from Ekota village, her certificate folder pressed tightly to her chest, blessing oil still damp on her forehead. Her parents had worked miracles to send her to Lagos for service year. Her father, Mr. Harris, a church deacon, stacked him books every Saturday and led prayers as if he could talk the world back into shape. Her mother, Mrs. Harris, sang alto in the choir, her steady voice carrying entire congregations. They had sold extra bags of cassava, 2 fat rams, and their last store of yam just to raise her transport fare. When she left, they gathered around her, prayed over the notes in a circle and kissed her cheeks. "Keep your head," her father said. "Keep your name," her mother whispered. The NYSC orientation camp in Yaba greeted her with chaos. A sea of white vests, loudspeakers screaming drills, roasted corn roasting on open fires, laughter tangled with shouts. Boys boasted loudly. Girls rolled their eyes. Lagos burned under the sun, cooking shoulders and dreams alike. That's where she met Lena. Lena walked like Lagos itself, hips forward, chin high, energy curated like a designer's showroom. On their second day, she twisted a beaded bracelet around her wrist and introduced herself. "I'm Lena," she said, flashing a playful smile. "Welcome to Lagos, small town sweetheart." It wasn't cruel, not exactly, just observation dressed as teasing. Lena knew everything. Which cafes served the best 5,000 Nigerian nairas smoothies, which political aides liked to be seen, which ones preferred shadows. She knew DJs, bouncers and micro-influencers. And she had access to the Lagos behind Lagos, the one hidden behind tinted windows and passwords. One evening, leaning against the camp fence as the sun melted into gold, Lena invited her in. "There's a thing tonight," she said casually, twisting her bracelet. "In Lekki Phase 1. Money. People who don't care where you're from. Come with me. You deserve soft, Maya." "My PPA letter comes tomorrow." Maya hesitated. "I should rest." Lena smiled like a secret. "Rest is for people who live here. You came to see what Lagos looks like when it forgets to be kind." The house thing turned out to be a mansion, walls so high they pretended they weren't there. Pool lights turned water into liquid glass. Champagne buckets dripped melted wealth. Men laughed like they were listening to themselves. Women laughed like they were tired of being watched and decided to watch back. "Don't be shy," Lena whispered into Maya's ear, voice dipped in sugar and danger. "Lagos only punishes people who punish themselves." Maya sipped something sweet that made the night edges blur. Music turned bodies into ideas. Ideas became impulses. A door opened. A room closed. It didn't feel like a decision. It felt like being carried. Later, she lay awake on her hostel bed, the sound of distant clubs thumping faintly in the background. She told herself it was just a night. Just a story for later. Tomorrow she would report to her PPA, an office with tired blinds and a boss whose tie knew more than his mouth, and life would settle into the triangle she promised her parents: service, work, sleep. Lena's world kept tugging, one glittering thread at a time. One party blurred into another, just a small Wednesday thing, turned into quick Friday hangouts, turned into house after house where doors led to rooms and rooms led to mistakes. Lagos clapped the way cities do when they're entertained and unafraid of becoming the punchline. Then the fever came. The sore throat next. A heaviness that sat in Maya's bones like an unwelcome tenant. She blamed camp flu. Blamed Lagos dust. Blamed the sudden nightlife. But when the ulcer on her lip refused to heal, the clinic nurse wrote a single word on a small card. "Test. Rapid test first," the nurse said softly at Oakwood Clinic. "If reactive we confirm. If positive we treat." Maya nodded faintly. Her world had already tilted. The confirmatory test came back positive. The counselor spoke gently, laying out facts in soft steps. HIV was not the end. Treatment worked. Undetectable viral load meant she wouldn't pass it on. U equals U. Science was survival now. But no catalogue of kindness could hold the flood inside her chest. That night she sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the dark, imagining her future folding like paper. She scrolled through her phone, thumb hovering over old messages full of flirty jokes and weekend invites. The old Maya, the one who carried her mother's pepper stew to camp in a plastic bowl, refusing to let flies near it, would have deleted every number and switched off her phone. But hurt Maya wanted the world to bleed the way she bled. She whispered into the quiet. Let them learn what I learned. She met 2 men for drinks on different nights. She smiled without warmth. But when it came to choosing, she froze. The counselor's words followed her like a stubborn shadow. Undetectable equals untransmittable. You haven't started treatment yet. On the second night she sat on a rooftop patio in Lekki, city lights reflecting off glass tables. Across from her, an older man with a gold wristwatch and a cologne that spoke before he did leaned close, calling her baby. She stared at the faint ring mark on his finger. She stared at his trembling hands. She stared at the city lights bouncing off his glass and imagined the word doom floating above their heads like smoke. Excusing herself, she stood before a bathroom mirror under harsh light. A tired girl stared back. A girl who hadn't called her mother. A girl who hadn't swallowed a single pill. She splashed cold water on her face and thought of the map the counselor had drawn. First pill. Next appointment. Blood work in 6 weeks. Something inside her, the part her father called God's stubbornness, reached for that map like a lifeline. She left the bar without saying goodbye. Walked through humid Lagos air, past sleeping street dogs and silent kiosks, until she reached Oakwood Clinic. It was closed. She sat on the curb hugging herself like she was her own friend. Shebi, tomorrow morning you will still be here? The security guard asked softly. I'll still be here, Maya whispered. She returned the next morning. Blood drawn. A small white bag pressed into her palm, her first month of pills. Start today, the nurse said gently. Even if I feel fine? Especially then. He swallowed the pill. It felt like a small stone sliding down a mountain that had been waiting to move. Babe, where have you been? Lena's voice chirped through the phone like nothing had changed. There's a small thing tonight in Victoria Island. One minister's boy. You know now. I can't. Why? He's cool, his people are our people. I said I can't. The word came out firm. Thought. Not defiant. Not apologetic. Just true. 2 days later, on a quiet Sunday, Maya called her parents. She timed it carefully, when her mother wouldn't be in the kitchen and her father wouldn't be in church vestry. She spoke slowly, like walking a glass bowl across a room. Her mother cried softly, afraid to jostle the fragile line. Her father breathed deeply, steadied himself, then said, Child sickness is not sin. We will pray and we will plan. Send me the list of medicines. We'll ask God for some things and the chemist for others. Maya hung up and cried until she couldn't anymore. Lena showed up unannounced a week later, eyes bright, voice full of gossip, until she saw the pill bottle on Maya's table. She froze. Maya, she whispered, voice small, playful bravado melting. Maya nodded, silent. Lena stared at the wall, then back at her. How many? She asked softly. None, Maya said firmly. I walked away. Lena sat down, trembling. I've been coughing for weeks, she confessed. Go and test, Maya said. I'm scared. Me too, Maya said. Go anyway. The clinic's counseling room in Lekki was small but full, stories spilling into tissues, nods and hugs. Maya met a boy from Aja who called himself Thelonious online. He admitted he stayed in bed for 2 weeks after his diagnosis. A mother of 2 planned birthdays, like nothing had changed. A man on treatment for 12 years smiled when he said, You saved my marriage and my mischief. Maya started writing down names of everyone who showed her kindness. Nurse Aisha, Mr. Francis, Counselor Bimbo, and on hard days added her own name to the list. Lena tested. Lena cried. Lena swallowed her first pill like a vow. You know, Lena whispered one afternoon as they walked past Balagan Market. I used to think I was freer than you. Like you carried your village and I threw mine away. But I was the one dancing for a room. We both wanted applause, Maya said softly. We just learned different music. Months later, Maya's results came back. Undetectable. The nurse at Oakwood Clinic cheered like Nigeria had scored a World Cup goal. Maya laughed, the kind of laugh that no longer checked itself first. She started Orange Bracelets, a small peer group in Suralere for new testers. A safe circle, no judgment, no drama. Just practical things. How to set a pill alarm, how to talk to a stubborn pharmacist, where to get meds discreetly. On a humid evening near the end of her service year, Maya stood on a small stage in a borrowed hall, 20 young women seated before her, faces flickering between bravery and fear. I came to Lagos with a dream, she began softly. I met a city with a mirror. It wanted me to clap for myself while it counted me. I made choices I'm not proud of. I thought my life was over. It wasn't. Testing saved me. Treatment steadied me. And people who refused to flinch when I spoke gave me back my face. After the session, a trembling girl pressed a folded paper into Maya's hand. In shaky ink it read, "Thank you. I was about to do something I can't take back. I'll go to the clinic tomorrow." That night, as Maya walked home through Victoria Island, the city seemed to exhale with her. She unlocked her door, swallowed her pill, and video called her parents. "We are proud of you," her father said. "For what?" she laughed softly. "For holding your name," he said, "and learning new songs." Some nights the old ache still whispered, "You were doomed." Maya would touch the thin orange bracelet on her wrist, breathe, and whisper back, "I was tired. I was angry. I almost became a thief of other people's futures. I'm not that choice. I am this one." And when she finally slept, Lagos, noisy, restless, alive, kept its distance. Because Maya had built a door inside herself. A door that only opened toward morning.